And recently I've been thinking about like, I recently, me and my friends, we did like a virtual protest, like an
Mm-hmm,
at-home
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
protest, and we
Yeah.
asked like, a bunch of people to put their profile picture black
Mm-hmm.
as to be in allegiance with one another.
Right.
And my question is, why doesn't like our generation and the younger generation feel called to do something, feel
Mm-hmm.
called to action? Like a lot of people didn't even want to post, black out their profile pic or whatever, but then we sit around and we'd be like, yeah, this country's fucked.
Right.
Right.
Why is that?
I mean, I think we're spoiled
What do you
to a
think?
degree, I think that we also have had it too good, because I think even seeing the way people haven't even been wanting to follow the rules of like staying at home, you know what I'm saying? Like when it's like, it's almost, I don't know. I think a lot of it is that people are too spoiled to like just get off their ass and do something. Or I also think that a lot of people don't realize how fucked up things really are, though. We hear about a lot of things like systemic racism and all these different things and how it's generationally set back people of color. But I really think like it's taking things like seeing the way that this virus has attacked people of color specifically at higher rates for a lot of people to recognize that shit, like there really is an issue. There really is a gigantic gap between the the coverage that a certain group has and another group has, like the medical attention, the quality, the ability to receive quality medical attention that a certain group has. And it takes it being thrown in our face with people dying at a higher rate in a certain community to see that. And I think that it's going to take a lot more of those things. Like a lot of people just live in their own bubble, and as much access as we have with social media. I was reading in this book, and I can't remember what the quote is exactly, but it was talking about we live in an era, obviously, where there's endless amounts of information, but because we have the ability to curate things so in such a fine way, we end up just like receiving things that agree with our viewpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Barack Obama spoke about that too when it comes to politics on a world
right.
basis.
Yeah,
A
it's like
couple
your
years ago.
Instagram feed, like the shit you follow, you're just following stuff that basically is in line with your viewpoint, isn't outside of your own bubble, and that's what ends up happening. We end up living in this world, we're just like seeing things constantly that reinforce our beliefs as opposed to what things that challenge them. I think there's a lot of things like that when it comes to this generation.
Yeah, I agree with
Right.
that.
I mean,
I
and
think
this is just like
yeah.
a rhetorical question. That was just saying this is just a rhetorical question, but it's like, where does it for a lot of my friends, I feel like we'll sit around and we know these things, but then it's like, you want to go to protest? No, girl.
Right.
So what do we do?
Well, I think one of the things that's been toughest to figure out is how to motivate the revolutionary in every single person. Because I've learned not everyone revolts in the same way. Not everyone reacts to change in the same way. Not everybody is inspired the same way. Even though the topics can be agreed upon, a lot of the times I've felt it's tougher. It's easier to find out that people care than it is to enable them to take action behind it. Generally, it can be about their health, their diet, their relationships, marital problems, whatever their career, whatever the case may be. Now, when it comes to a topic, if we're prone to like procrastinate on the things that are immediately positive and effective to ourself and ourself only, now taking the world, taking the government, taking society. And it's just like, all right, if people do give a fuck. I think with this specific pandemic, we're too close to like that $1,200 check, unemployment, things are okay. Some people's rents are frozen for a month. The food cabinet is still there, but it may take more dire results. Hopefully not, like I God pray not, but it may take more dire results. But then the other aspect is like, it's like how Malcolm Gladwell explains in The Tipping Point. There are many aspects to something finally breaking through, and everybody has their own role in society, whether that be the connectors, the word of mouth people, whether that be the people who just promote. Then it's going to take corporations to really like, okay, it's not just free shipping on your, you know what I mean? It's not just free shipping. Like, actually, wait, we have to take a stance on this. So it's going to take a lot of different aspects of like society and our community as a whole. And I think within that, people are going to find their own way of revolutionizing, because the person who may have not changed their avatar to Black when they saw you post it did curse out their friend on the phone. you know what I mean? Like they didn't necessarily, maybe they just really liked the picture on their phone, but maybe that did be like, you know what? Nah, we gotta chill the fuck out, and made them scream at. I think it's just like,
Right.
it's tough because we want instant gratification. You know, we want that instant reaction.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
We want people to be hit right now, but it's gonna take time. And unfortunately, we haven't lived through all of the pandemic. So even if you can read about what has happened in the world, and even though you can read about what has been done in the government, we've only experienced this. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, how do we fucking
right.
And it's interesting. I think a lot of things you guys said is super interesting. I think, Rad, what you were saying about instant gratification is definitely, I think, a thing when we're talking about in terms of people protesting, right? I think for a lot of people, they are so used to getting that that instant gratification, and they want, like, when they show up to a protest, let's say, it's like they want to protest and they want Trump out of office just that next day that they protested. You know what I mean? Like that to them would be the only time it's worth it, because they're so used to getting instant gratification, because that's the life we live right now. But I also think on a note of positivity, I do think political conversations and political figures it's starting to skew younger, and it's starting to skew to people that are outside of the norm. I think you're seeing it in like an AOC, who is not your typical political person. She's not your typical political representative. And I think she's then going to inspire that next generation. You know what I mean? And like, maybe we're just still not there yet. You know, maybe it takes a couple more AOCs. It takes the person that she ends up inspiring. You know, it's just like music, right? There's always like that person who is like the first person who like carves it out, but they're not the one who breaks through to the mainstream, and then it takes the next person to kind of like see what they did, and then like master a way to kind of make it that it's palatable for everybody. I think that might be kind of a place that we're in right now, whereas you start getting people who are younger and quote unquote cool, you know what I mean, who look a certain way, talk a certain way, and then that is what gets others inspired and gets younger people inspired. That's kind of what I think. Maybe that's like overly optimistic, but that's kind of where I feel it's going to start heading down.
No, not at all.